How's your neck of the woods?
It's good. I just got back to my neck of the woods last night. I was up in Northern California doing a photo shoot, so
Nice.
getting kind of settled back. Nice, I guess. wasn't it
Future.
wasn't a beautiful part of California, and it was not a beautiful subject, and yeah, pays the bills. But
Right on. Is it for the show or something else?
no, this was for my, I guess what you'd call my day job. I do commercial real estate photography, so I was shooting a retail center.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Right on. I have
Yeah.
one of them to pay the bills.
We all need it, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Almost all of us.
It's yeah, I know. It's just a few more subscribers and we'll get there.
Yeah, that'll be the day.
It's yeah, pie in the sky.
Yeah.
So I am here with Nick Carver. Nick is an amazing photographer, amazing film photographer as well. You may have seen him on YouTube, or I only know you through YouTube, actually.
That's how anybody knows me.
Right
That's
on.
like- I have an Instagram, but people find my Instagram from YouTube. It's not generally the other way around.
That's how I found it.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I found you probably I think 6 months ago, close to a year ago, and your YouTube channel, first of all, speaks to me because it has that pace that's good for my now approaching old age. It's nice and chill, not too crazy, and it's funny, and I think it has that healthy balance of everything. On top of that, your photography is really awesome.
Well, thank you.
My
I'm glad
pleasure.
to hear that part of it. Yeah.
And of course, this being Fuji centric, really appealed to me because you. I don't know if you're still using it. As of my watching, you're still using the Fujifilm, one of the medium format cameras. I think it's the.
No, I have the X Pro 2.
You get the X Pro 2.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Yeah,
have
I
the
haven't-
GW 690
Oh, sorry. You're talking film.
film.
I'm so in my head about Fuji love being about the Fuji GFX system. I'm like, nah, I haven't touched the medium formats, but yes, very much Fuji medium format, the GW692. It's a 6x9 camera, so huge negatives, 8 pictures per roll. So
Oh damn!
expensive negatives. Also. Yeah, but I love that camera. It's super simplistic, all mechanical. It's like it's basically a large format lens mounted to a body. I mean, it's the shutter is in the lens, the aperture is in the lens, and it's all controlled similar to a large format, and that it's all mechanical. So it's a really cool camera.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so the last video I saw of you using that camera was when you switched from the electronic medium format
Yeah.
to this one.
Yeah, the GA645ZI.
Yeah.
That's a really quirky camera that I really wanted to love. It's a cool design. It was in that kind of era when film cameras had reached their technical peak right
Yeah.
before digital hit. So like it had like modern electronics. It had the shooting modes, PASM, although it was actually missing shutter priority mode because you don't need it, truthfully, if you have aperture priority mode. But, it had autofocus, but it was a really crappy autofocus. It was like a single autofocus point. And I think it wasn't contrast detection or anything like that. I think it might have been sonar. I'm not sure. But anyway, the focus was off all the time. And it had this beautiful zoom lens that had like 3 positions, I think.
Yep.
Like 3 focal lengths. It wasn't like a smooth zoom. So it was like this really quirky camera from an era that I just kind of have a soft spot for.
Yep.
I love the film cameras from that era. They have a cool design and interesting features, but I got so annoyed with the focus. I just decided I need either a manual focus camera or an autofocus camera that's actually good at autofocus, and then one or the other. So I ended up going with the manual focus, bigger negatives too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, autofocus. Fujifilm can't seem to shake that.
Yeah, it's funny. They're kind of snake bitten that way, I guess. They got the lens technology down. Some of my favorite lenses that I have, regardless of system.
Yep.
Medium format, large format, even whatever. The Fuji lenses are so cool. They have so much character, and generally super sharp. I mean, I can't remember who told me, but at some point someone said to me, Fuji is first and foremost a lens company. They just happen to build cameras to attach their lenses to. So they got the lenses down, and that's one thing I miss about that camera I got rid of. Is it was a zoom lens that was crazy sharp.
Yeah.
From that era. I mean, zoom lenses back then were not sharp at all, and this was a beautifully sharp lens with a very nice vignette on it. But the camera attached to it kind of sucked. So,
it's crazy. Fujifilm has that air of mystique to them, and it always depends on the person evaluating it. Because on the one hand, yes, you mentioned that they're a great lens company. I mean, they've made lenses for Hasselblad. They've made lenses for, I think, a couple other companies. But the other thing that I hear that's really big with them is their color science. Mm-hmm. With the film back in the day, and now with the even before the X-Trans sensor, yeah. they were pretty well known for like skin tones and green grass and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's why the digital Fuji cameras are always like, I feel like they're every film photographer's backup plan. Like, they're definitely mine, where it's like, okay, if film suddenly goes away, I don't know, some environmental standard comes in that says no more film. We can't do the chemistry anymore. It's done. That would be devastating for me, but I know Fuji's back there, like, waiting for me. Like, the Fuji digital cameras. Like, don't worry, we'll ease you into digital, and you'll like it, because we got the color science down, and it'll feel like shooting film. It'll look like shooting film. And then on top of that, they do cool stuff with their cameras to, like, make it feel more like a film camera. And I don't just mean having a dial on the top for the shutter. I mean, like, things that force you to not review the photo immediately. And, they really have that in their DNA. It's kind of cliche to say that, but I mean, they have film in their DNA, and they're clearly not abandoning it for their digital stuff, which I think is really cool. And I think a lot of us photographers who tend to prefer film, Fuji is a very, very close second. And, I just love what they're doing with their cameras these days. I
mean, I love it too. Thus the podcast. So you have, I totally forgot about that. You have the X Pro 2. Mm-hmm. I have the X Pro 2 as well. It is it is that sweet spot as far as ergonomics, output. It is amazing, especially when you pair it with the 33 millimeter lens, the 35 millimeter lens, rather. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I have the 23 on there most of the time. I have the 23 f4, I think. I love that camera. It's such a beautifully designed camera. I mean, it looks, it's a gorgeous looking camera, but the optical viewfinder and stuff, being able to switch back and forth, I think that's why the X100V or what, that one that they could never keep in stock, but it's basically
still can't.
Yeah, it's the X Pro Lite with the camera with the lens stuck to it, but being able to switch back and forth between optical viewfinder and everything is awesome. The problem I have with that camera is I don't use it enough because I don't take that many photos, and then so when it comes time to use it, it's been so long since I used it that none of the muscle memory's there, so all the buttons feel foreign to me, and I'm fumbling with trying to figure out where to change things. If I just used it consistently, it would all be muscle memory. It'd be easy, but I use film cameras so much when I have the option that when it comes time to actually put that camera to use, I'm like, it's too frustrating. I can't figure out where all the buttons are. But
so what kind of film cameras do you have?
So I just got a new one. Well, new to me, very old, but it's a Horseman VH, which is kind of a weird camera. It's not on a lot of people's radar, but it's basically a mini large format camera.
Yep.
So it collapses into itself. It looks like an old press camera. It's got the interchangeable lenses on lens boards. It's got the bellows. It's got rise and fall and shift and tilt and all that kind of stuff. But the negative size is 6x9. So
oh wow.
it uses roll film, which is fantastic. It's compact. It's like this little. This whole kit fits into like a messenger bag.
Ooh.
So yeah, I have the camera with the roll film back and 3 lenses, and it all fits easily into a messenger bag. So it's kind of giving me the benefits of large format in terms of being able to manipulate the 2 standards separately, but in a much smaller form factor. And I'm just finding that the resolution from a 6x9 negative is so damn good. I'm not really missing the large format resolution for a lot of what I'm doing. Like the 6x9 negative is plenty. So
yeah.
That's been a fun camera to use.
So I'm curious, why... Well, let's start with what drew you to photography in the first place. Did you always start with film, or was it a digital then going back to film?
So I started photography long enough ago that film was the only option. So
I am in that same boat too. I'm glad there's another.
Yes. So I took a class in middle school that was photography, and it was all darkroom stuff and everything. It was actually a very, very short class because it was a section within a larger class that was actually a section of the whole year. So it was like, I was probably only doing it for 2 weeks or something, but I fell in love with it then and kind of decided I wanted to pursue it as a hobby. And then, around that age, you're starting to think about what you're going to do with your life and all that. So I kind of, that's what I was most interested in. So figured I'd become a working photographer, but that was right around the time digital started to come in. So I resisted digital for a very long time because especially back then, digital just looked bad. I mean, it was like the cameras weren't good yet. At least an affordable camera wasn't good yet. So it was low resolution. It was poor dynamic range. It was battery life was horrendous. So I mean, you couldn't like go out with a digital camera and actually expect to be able to complete the day with it or anything. So so I kind of resisted it, but then eventually it was just all going that way, and I was kind of looking at it like, well, if I'm going to do this for a living, I need to do digital because I'm not gonna make it as a professional shooting film when everyone's going toward digital. So I took the dive into that, and then kind of neglected film for a pretty long time, but then came back around to it about, I think it was like 12 years into it. And that's when I started exploring new formats that I never explored before. So large format, medium format, which I had never touched up until that point. And then eventually settled on 6x17, which is kind of my main format now. But I'm definitely like the process is a big part of it for me, and not in a snobby way. I mean the actual physical action of taking the photos, the way it's done is a big important aspect for me. Whether I enjoy that or not, it plays a big factor in whether I value the pictures. So I enjoy using film cameras quite a bit more than digital cameras, and so that is what I tend to gravitate towards for all my personal work now. But even if the results aren't necessarily better, like the digital stuff looks so good now. It's like I'd be lying to myself if I said, well, film looks better. It's a little too blanket of a statement these days, and the sensors now are so good that the look of it is not really the driving force anymore. It's more the using of the cameras than anything else.
But do you think... So I agree with you. Digital has made it in such a way that you have images that your own eye can't see as well. Like you could zoom into the finest detail. Everything is is or can be pin sharp. But do you feel that in a way that might be a hindrance? Like, is the imperfection that film can provide something that can in some ways feel better?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. Because I've even seen. So, just for anyone who doesn't know me, who might be listening, in my YouTube channel, I do a lot of panoramic photography, so 6x17, which is on film. So, it's a single negative that measures 6 centimeters by 17 centimeters, hence 6x17. And so, anyone who's interested in 6x17 photography inevitably comes across my channel because there's not that many people doing it. So I'm one of the few working with that very unique format.
You and David and Mel, apparently.
There's not a ton of us. Yeah, so I end up getting, tagged and stuff and anything that is kind of related to 6x17. So I've seen like Fuji digital cameras have a 6x17 crop option on some of their like medium format cameras.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like I can spot instantly a digital 6x17 versus a film 6x17. And it's primarily that the digital 6x17 is too damn clear. Like it's too crisp. It's sharp. It's like every little detail is there, and it feels too close to real life. Like it feels too close to how my eyes would see it, and it's actually better than how my eyes would see it, I'm sure. But it feels too hyper realistic. Whereas like the film 6x17 stuff, there's always some just little extra disconnect between the real world and the photo that came from that. And I really like that separation that film gives. Is it just kind of it's a downgraded is not even the right word because I like it more, but it's a further step from reality in the way the image looks. And I think that's really important for art because when it gets too hyper real and it feels too much like you're just standing there, I feel like a lot of the art goes away because it then just it's like an iPhone photo. Like iPhone photos are so realistic and they're so perfectly exposed in HDR across the whole thing that you look at it and it's like that is a perfect documentation of that moment in standing in that place, and there isn't like an ounce of artistry in most of those shots because
agreed.
It feels like that's just how it would look when you were standing there. It's like it's hyper realistic, which is cool and has its place, but I like that little bit of separation between the scene as it actually looked and how the film is rendering it.
I like to think that digital photography in many ways is a freeze frame of what your eyes see, but a film photo is a freeze frame of what your mind sees.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the mind constantly forgets. Just ask my wife. It's kind of like it's almost like a dream, trying to remember a dream, and nothing in the dream is, you during the moment it feels one-to-one, but when you step back and think about it, everything kind of like all those realnesses fall apart.
Yeah, it becomes kind of an interpretation of the scene rather than a documentation of the scene, which to me puts it a little closer to painting, in the sense that, a painter is doing their interpretation of the scene in front of them. The goal usually is not photorealism, although one of my favorite painters is a photorealist painter, so there's a place for that.
Who is it?
But Rod Penner.
Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't heard of him, check out his Instagram. His paintings are unreal. So what's crazy about him, I'll go off on a little tangent on him because
I love it. Yeah.
So I got a coffee table book of his, which if anyone out there, if you can track down Rod Penner's coffee table book, highly recommend it. But so he does these hyper realism paintings of scenes, I think largely from Texas. So it's rundown houses, cafes, things that are very much, for anyone who knows my work, it's actually very much in line with the type of stuff I like to shoot. So it's no wonder I like his painting so much. But so they're hyper realistic, and you can tell he does it from a photograph that he probably took, I'm sure, because when you go through this coffee table book of his, he's got work all from throughout his career, and he's been painting, since the 80s, I think. But what's interesting is you see his paintings from like 1995, and they look like a photo from 1995. Like it's the same level of softness.
Yeah.
And it's the same level of color, shifts that we would get back then on a little 4x6 print or whatever.
Interesting.
And then his more modern work looks much more detailed and hyper realistic, like it was from a digital photo. So it's kind of interesting watching his progression over the years, because his paintings follow the same track as how photos looked, like following that track. So it's really fascinating in that sense.
Maybe he'll say something along the lines of, "I have better brushes. My brushes are full frame now."
Yeah, he's working on full canvas now, full frame canvas. Yeah, it's the painting, and I realize that's kind of contradictory to what I'm even saying, because like the whole crux of his paintings is that they look like photos.
Yep.
And one of the reasons I love painting so much is that they don't look like photos. So you look at a painting, from any era, and it doesn't necessarily give away when that painting was done, because it's not based on the technology of the time. It's based on the artist's interpretation of that moment. And I love that separation that paintings give you. It's not a literal representation of whatever they're painting. It's an interpretation of it. And I think that's one of the things I love about shooting film, is different films render colors differently, and that kind of injects a little bit of unreality to the photos, which just separates it nicely, just a little bit from reality.
And sometimes we need a good break from reality, which is
Yeah,
the other. When did you start your YouTube channel? You've been doing it for quite a little while now.
Yeah, about 11 years.
Damn.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That's
a long
awesome.
time to be YouTube.
Yeah. What drove you to make the channel, and like what did you start doing with your channel around that time?
That was kind of before being a YouTuber was much of a thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a motivation of like becoming a YouTuber.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, it and if it was, it wasn't any viable career like it might be today. But
yeah,
it was kind of twofold. I've been teaching photography for a very long time, and I was teaching photography back then as well. And I had some online courses that were all digital photography centric.
Yep.
Analog photography hadn't really seen a renaissance yet at that time. So I was really only teaching digital photography, and I had these online courses, and I thought YouTube would be a good way to put out a sampling of how I teach, and then people might see that and then want to buy a course. So it was kind of a marketing channel, potential marketing channel to get more students. But also, Ben Horn is a YouTuber who was around way back then. He's probably the first photography YouTuber, to be honest.
Was he?
He's been doing it so long. I can't think of anyone who's been doing it longer. Maybe, but he would do the on location stuff. So he wasn't calling it that. They were just kind of like photography journals. You'd go out to Zion or whatever, and just kind of video him doing that. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. That might be fun to make a little mini documentary of going out to take pictures and talk about my camera and all that kind of stuff. So I started doing that, and it was fun to do. I didn't really expect it to catch at all, because again, it was before film photography really saw a resurgence. So it was kind of a niche thing to be going out with a large format camera and making a video about it. Like, who the hell's going to watch that? Digital's all the rage. And,
right.
So I didn't think it was really going to lead to much. But when the first couple videos I did actually got some okay traction and people were watching it, and I wasn't doing really anything to try and get more views. I didn't know anything about thumbnails and titles and all that stuff to try and optimize. I just put out a video of like, hey, here's me doing a thing, and then it did pretty good. So that was very encouraging, and made me want to do another, and then just kind of kept growing. So my channel's not very big for how long I've been doing it, I will say. Like, it's if you can't get as many subscribers as I got in 11 years, you're doing something really wrong. So, I have time on my side, but I don't know that I've ever been very efficient at building a YouTube channel. Just kind of fell into it.
For the amount of videos that you put out, given the duration of time, I mean, it's pretty modest. It is. I mean, I don't know the number offhand right now, but you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I don't put out a ton of content. I think I like a pretty average year for me. I think is like one a month, and that's pretty good if I'm hitting that. Yeah, I'm very slow in many ways, especially mentally. But I'm very slow at editing. I'm very slow at shooting because I'm.
You're meticulous.
I'm meticulous. That's probably a better word. I was gonna say I don't like the word perfectionist because that implies like I actually reached that at some point, but it's not. I never like reach perfection. It's just, and I'm not even trying to reach perfection. It's just an obsession. It's like an unhealthy obsession with this one thing bugging me in the video that I need to get rid of just because it's bugging me. Like, it's not like, oh, the video is going to be so much better if I fix that thing. It's like, no,
right.
It's just bugging me, so I got to get rid of it. And so I can get pretty, the editing side can be very time consuming. And then the shooting, if I'm doing a video where I'm going out, videoing me taking pictures, it's a straight up royal pain in the ass. To set up a video camera, watching you set up another camera.
Yep.
To then take a picture, and you got to talk to the camera and keep it interesting and stuff. Like, it's so, it's such a mess, and like it's a lot to think about, and so it can get real frustrating sometimes. But the result is usually fun enough to make that I kind of forget how much it sucked to film it. But like the editing part kind of makes up for it because
you make it look easy. So one of the things that I really enjoy is that your B-roll takes itself lightly. It is you see other channels that are constantly switching camera views and going through a process of like setting up. Now I'm grabbing this, and then the camera switches, and having done video, it's like, oh, now this is getting tiring just watching it happen back and forth. But with your channel, it's funny. Like, I remember seeing some B-roll in yours where like you're running by with a scooter, and you're just kind of just having a fun time just riding it, and the voiceover work just kind of taking the piss out of everything.
Yeah.
I like it. That's my style. That is something that I'm comfortable watching, and you're kind of breaking down like the structure, but you're moving the story along, which is your photography.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. I think there's a lot of potential comedy in editing, just the way something's edited. So I think I get that largely from movies like Hot Fuzz and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Edgar Wright, yeah.
Edgar Wright, thank you. That kind of team, I forget the other guy's name that he's usually in it with, the darker-haired guy, heavyset guy. But, Hot Fuzz, I think End of the World is another one, and, like, he did, like, a stretch of movies that they're hilarious.
The Cornetto trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, they're hilarious just in the content, but they do really funny editing things in it, and like real interesting editing things where like quick cuts to something else just, gets a funny thing across that you can't do in real life because we don't have cuts and, B-roll in our heads. We're just watching things. So like using B-roll and like directing the viewer's attention to something really quick. Like I always find that hilarious. I love a good like editing trick that just gets a joke to land perfectly, or the cut itself is funny. So I end up kind of using that whenever I can in the editing, because it's maybe a little bit of a crutch to get something funny just out of how you cut it. But yeah, I try. I have a perpetual fear of being boring. Like that's literally going through my head for the past 6 minutes that we've been, or 36 minutes that we've been talking, is that I'm just being boring right now. So like that's perpetually going through my head. And then so I try and like speed up the editing, and I try and, do things to make sure I'm not losing people's attention, but without doing too much. I feel like some YouTube videos, it's like, oh, they got a drone shot and a dolly shot, and like, it gets to be like a little too much. Like just get to the point. So
agreed.
I try and keep the pacing reasonably quick, and sometimes that's smash cuts to me doing something stupid just to break the boredom in the video.
I will now forever think of your videos as the photography's Edgar Wright.
I've made it.
You've made it. You're done. Yeah. Get the Google plaque. You're ready.
Yeah.
But I could totally see it. And the one thing I love, I mean, God, going back to like the Cornetto trilogy and all that. No, it's not part of the Cornetto trilogy. Have you ever seen the movie Baby Driver?
Yeah.
I love the way he just choreographed everything to music. Yeah. And like just watching that first scene with the first heist, just seeing everything just line up so perfectly. Work of art.
Yeah. Yeah. I love good editing. I really appreciate movies that are just tightly, cleanly edited, and creative ways to tell the story through editing, because sometimes you see something new, rarely, but sometimes you see something new in cinematography or editing that just like blows your socks off. Like the movie that did that for me was Children of Men.
Okay.
Which, have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a very serious movie. It's a drama, and it's a dystopian future kind of thing. But they have some shots in that movie where you'll be watching it, and you're a few minutes into the shot, you're like, wait, they haven't cut yet. And it's like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
You start thinking back on all the movements they would have had to do to get that scene shot. And it's just like, it blows my mind. I can watch that movie countless times just dissecting the editing and how they must have shot that, and the actual physical logistics of moving the camera into this spot while this other action is going on. Like a very interesting long takes in that movie with a lot of action going on. So, it was a big deal when that movie, I think 1918.
The
World War I movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
the Christopher Nolan movie, right?
I don't know if it was Christopher Nolan, but it was one take. So like the movie looked like a single take, so it followed the character beginning to end without ever cutting. And they do that, of course, not in a single take. They blend scenes in creative ways, so it looks like it was a continuous scene. And that's always fascinating. But this Children of Men movie, it's not a single take, but they have sections of very intense action where they did it in a legitimate single take, with moving the camera in very creative ways, and really, really fascinating to watch and kind of analyze how they did it after you watch the movie and just enjoy the story the first time, But all that's to say, I really appreciate good editing and good cinematography, so I try and implement that in my videos. I get real, I guess cynical is the word, about like the YouTube style. And I try and steer away from that, just talking head stuff with splashes of color or light behind you, and shots
The
that,
easiest thing to do.
yeah, and shots that are just kind of not really contributing anything to the story, but they're like epically shot because you bought a really good video camera. And it's like I try and make sure my videos don't lean too much into the YouTube style, because I don't really want them to look YouTubey. I want them to look like little mini shows. So I think a lot of that's in the editing.
I mean, the way you said everything, yeah, perfect. I mean, God, same here. I have a mess in the background, and I'm not going to install any lights. I don't have the time for that. How important is your gear to the photography process? With you focusing on film, are you looking for a camera that is best geared to to work with the film, or is there any connection to the camera itself?
Yeah, the camera plays a huge role, because that's really why I'm shooting film more than anything, is because of the using of the film camera is fun to me. That's why I don't really do a whole lot of 35 millimeter, largely because the cameras are so similar to digital in functionality.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel like it's really offering me much over just using a digital camera. Granted, they look different, of course, and you got 35 millimeter film, delayed gratification, and all that kind of stuff. But the type of cameras I end up gravitating towards for my film work are all stuff that doesn't exist in digital. So,
yeah.
Or if it does, it's much stripped down. So, I do a lot of architectural photography. I do a lot of street scenes. And so rise, fall, and shift are very important to me, because even though I know that's correctable digitally, that's not how I want to do it. I actually enjoy the process of raising the lens to keep the lines vertical and things like that. So, I know there's digital shift lenses, and I know it's possible to do that on digital, but there's not a whole lot of digital options to have two completely separate standards on your camera, where you have a bellows connecting the two.
Yeah.
And they make digital adapters for film cameras, and it's like, but you reach a point where it's like, okay, well, if I'm using a 90% film camera and I'm attaching a digital back to it, I don't know, I'll just do the last 10% on film, and then I don't have to worry about another weird battery I got to carry with me and all that. That's another thing I'm finding I really like in my film cameras, is that there's zero or very few electronics. Just having a camera that I know can't run out of battery on me. It's all mechanical. It's like using a mechanical watch. Even the shutter speeds aren't electronically timed. They're done with gears and, mechanical things inside the lens. There's something I like about that. I feel when I'm out shooting, I feel more like I'm working with a tactile tool, like working with a hammer rather than working with a computer. And I spend so much of my day working on a computer and working on a phone. It's nice to work with something that does very few things. It does them all mechanically, and nothing is button based. Nothing is menu based. Nothing is scrolling through a thing. Nothing is a joystick. It's all winding things and clicking things and physical levers and buttons on the lens or the camera. I really enjoy that. I think it gives me a good break from just everything being so convoluted in menus and buttons and everything now. It gets overwhelming, and I don't like it. So having the film cameras that are much stripped down kind of gives me a nice break, and then I enjoy the process that much more.
It remains tangible.
Yeah, very much. very much, and very very mentally simple.
Yeah.
Which I think I need a lot in my life, because the rest of my life is not mentally simple, because I'm trying to run a business, and I'm answering emails, and I'm editing videos, and it's like there's a lot going on up here that gets super exhausting, and then I end up forgetting simple things. I left my passport card at the airport yesterday. I just forgot it was in my pocket, and then it fell out. Like little things like that, because I'm so thinking about so many things. But then if I go out with a film camera, there's no notifications, there's no buttons, there's no menus. It's very, very mechanical. It's like building something, with a hammer and nails, and that's kind of refreshing after a day of answering emails and building a website and editing video and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When you're finished with the photo, then it's the developing process. Do you develop your own film, or is that something that you export to another service?
I'm lucky enough to have a lab that's like 4-minute drive from me. So I have them do it. I've done a little bit of developing myself, but I don't take a ton of photos in general.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of a landscape architecture guy. So, I'll go out and I'll take 3 photos for the night or whatever, and then I go out once every 2 weeks. So I end up not taking that many pictures. So I found I was having to throw away so many chemicals, because I would mix up a batch of chemicals and develop a roll. And then by the time I was ready to develop the next roll, everything was stale, and I had to remix the chemistry. So
yeah,
I just have a lab do the developing, but I do all my own scanning, which is a big part of the process, and that's a whole different skill set.
Do you scan with a flatbed scanner or a digital camera, or?
Yeah, I use an Epson flatbed film scanner, which is easily the least sharp way to scan film. I'm fully aware of that, but it's when you're dealing with multiple different formats. So like I shoot 6x9, I shoot 645, I shoot 6x17, I shoot 4x5 sometimes. There's really no more versatile scanning system than a flatbed film scanner, because it can handle all those formats. And having like a scanning station set up with a camera looking down at a negative and everything, it takes up more space, and it's something you have to babysit while you're doing it.
Yeah.
One thing I like about the flatbed film scanner is I can have it scan 4 negatives. I click scan, I go refill my coffee, I get some stuff done, I come back and the scans are ready. So it's nice for that. But if I was shooting 35 millimeter, that would not be the best way to go. The flatbed film scanner, that is. My negatives are big enough that the lack of sharpness from that system is actually really not a hindrance, I've found. But 35 millimeters, pretty noticeable how much worse it is compared to scanning with a digital camera.
Yeah. And then when it's time to print, you do the printing yourself. You've done several awesome videos on printing, and I got to commend you, because I usually find that to be the most boring part of watching any video, but you keep things really interesting. So the most recent one is where you really tested out a Canon printer. And how long was that panoramic print?
128 inches. Yeah, a little over 10 feet. It was ridiculous.
Damn. Where did you end up putting that after?
Someone bought it.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny. I sold it for practically nothing, though, because I knew he was the only guy in the world who would have wanted to buy it. So I'm like, I don't know, dude, send me $150. I'll ship it out to you.
That's so funny.
Any other time there would have been another zero on that. But I knew that if he didn't take it, I was gonna have to store it for the rest of my life. So I was like, just please take it off my hands. No one has space for a 10-foot print. But yeah, that one's a lot of fun. The printing stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of learning how exciting it can be. It's such a dry subject when you just kind of think about it. It's like, oh, inkjet printers, those things that piss everybody off at some point. And the whole digital side of it, like printer drivers and sharpening and color management, all that stuff, like it's so dry on the surface and sounds so boring. But once you really learn all the aspects of it, it's actually pretty fun to do. It's interesting to like try and get the best quality print out of a printer, and optimizing color profiles and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting stuff once you kind of dive into it. But the main thing is just having the print in your hand. There's no, I haven't found any other match to that feeling in photography. And I look, because it costs money to print, and I don't want that enjoyment to only come from that, because that's kind of an expensive way to get that fulfillment. But that specific feeling of having your photo that you've put all this time and effort into, and it's now on this beautiful paper that you've picked out, and you're able to hold it and show it to people and share it and everything. Like it's a very unique feeling that I don't get from any other part of photography. So even if the print is just going to end up in the trash in a week because I have no one to give it to, I still do it, because having that week of looking at the print and seeing it on paper is worth it.
Nice. And it keeps the printer active.
Exactly. You got to keep exercising them. That's how they get you. That's the trick. You got to keep them turned on. You got to keep putting paper through them.
And with the photography process, is the gear that you're using, the large format cameras, are they, a lot of them are old. Are there any that are new that you're able to use? And I'm just...
The cameras are actually new.
Gotcha.
Yeah, on the large format stuff. But you can definitely use old cameras. I just happen not to. The main thing is the lenses are all old, because nobody's making those anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any particular camera from long ago or fairly recently or anything, that a dream camera that you would love to photograph with, that is not possible anymore, or just not yet possible at the moment?
Yeah. I got what do they call that? A white whale?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a white whale.
I'm so glad that you use that term, because I often refer to the Fujifilm, what is it? I keep forgetting the number. The GF 670, I think it is. That nice silver rangefinder camera.
GF 670. Is it a film camera?
Yes. Hang on. Let me bring it up here real quick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to move on from this until I know what camera that is, because I know a lot of the Fuji cameras pretty well. A silver one, you say?
Yeah. Oh,
both respectively Googling while the listeners
I know,
bored as shit. But
so it has a bellows. So the
okay. Yeah, which one? You said it's like the GS something.
Medium format GF 670 folding rangefinder.
Oh yeah, that. Okay.
That is my white whale, and I am afraid to buy it because it is an electronic camera, and I'm afraid that if I spend so much money on it, it'll die on me.
I know, it's such a... I hate that part about film cameras. And then you're never going to be able to find anyone to fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the silver one is cool looking.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a really cool camera. Yeah.
So what's your white whale?
Yeah, my white whale. It's always funny seeing these cameras in someone's hands, because you get the picture of it by itself and you have no idea how big it is, and then you see it in someone's hands, you're like, whoa, holy crap.
Yep.
Yeah, so my white whale is an ebony S617, I think it's called. So I use currently is it an S, or it might be SW? I can't remember. But if anyone who wants to see it, just Google ebony 617, and you'll see it. So it's a 6x17 camera. just like my Shenhao that I use. Um, and in fact, the Shenhao that I use
That one's
is
the panoramic one, right?
yeah, yeah. So it's the Ebony's might be their only panoramic camera they ever made. Um, but so Ebony was a large format camera maker out of Japan that is no longer around, but made just beautiful large format cameras. Like from what I hear from everybody who's ever put their hands on one, like the precision is unreal. The rigidity
gorgeous.
is unreal. Yeah, and they're beautiful cameras. They were often made out of ebony wood, so they're this beautiful, really dark brown. But sometimes they're made out of walnut, whatever else. So, and then titanium metal parts. So beautiful, gorgeous looking cameras, but also backed up by like just incredible engineering and materials. So the Shenhao that I use is a ripoff of Ebony's 6x17. So it's a very similar design. It's almost identical. But the Ebony is the original in my mind. It's the one that I would love to be using. The precision, I'm sure, is better because there's that Japanese manufacturing. The Shenhaos, they're good, but they're Chinese knockoffs. I don't know how else to say it. Like they're Chinese knockoffs of Ebony designs. Pretty much all of their designs are carbon copies from old Ebony designs. But the main thing is, I just found out recently that the film cassette, the film holder for my Shenhao 6x17 has an inherent design flaw that makes it so the film doesn't lay perfectly flat. It's a weird, weird, obscure thing that I just found out because a viewer was insisting that the distortion they were seeing was not from their lens. Long story, I won't get into it. But ultimately, it got me to look into how the film was laying on the holder, and I found out it wasn't laying flat, which is like number one no-no for a film camera. The film has to be perfectly flat. And it's an inherent design flaw. It wasn't a defect in mine. It's the way it's built. But this old Ebony uses a Horseman back. And Horseman, dear God, we're getting into the weeds here. I cannot imagine how
let's
bored
go
some
for it.
people are.
No, I'm all for this.
This is the kind of talk I have no one to dump onto. this kind of obscure knowledge, but
allow me to present you the trough.
Okay, open wide because all right. So Horseman. So Horseman was a Japanese company, also that made some really interesting, unique cameras. The Horseman VH I mentioned earlier. That's the one I just got. So if people want to Google the Horseman VH, it's kind of a funny looking camera because it looks like just any other large format camera. But like we were saying, once you see it in someone's hands, it's like, oh, that's how big it is. And in this case, it's, oh, that's how small it is.
Nice.
It's this cute little large format camera because it actually uses roll film instead of sheet film. But anyway, Horseman, they made a couple of cameras, but they also made film backs for some of the other major camera makers. So like the RB67 from Mamiya, the precursor to the RZ67, which is maybe a little bit better known. But I believe Horseman actually manufactured the film holder for the RB67. So they like specialized in film holders. Kind of weird specialty, but back then you needed it because that's all we had was film.
It paid the bills.
It paid the bills. And then they made a couple of cameras while they were at it. So like my Horseman VH uses a Horseman film back, of course, but like I also have a Horseman back for my 4x5, so I can actually shoot roll film on my 4x5 if I want to, by way of this Horseman back. All of that is to get to this ungratifying point, which is this Ebony 6x17 has a Horseman back because Ebony didn't know how to make their own film backs for this, so they just outsourced it to Horseman. And it's a 6x17 back, so it's long and skinny. It's weird looking, but it looks like a stretched out version of every other Horseman back that everyone's ever seen. And I get tickled pink by things like that that look like a stretched out version of the thing everybody knows, or a squashed version of the thing everybody knows. Like the Horseman VH that I'm talking about. That's one of the reasons it kind of makes me chuckle. It just looks like a squashed down version of a big old large format camera. And the back on this Ebony 6x17 is I'm sure much better built than the Shenhaus for one, but it's such a unique, rare item that, like, these things never come up on eBay. They never go for sale. That I almost want it just because I know there's maybe half a dozen of them out there and everyone's holding on to them. And I just want to have it. But I would actually use it.
It belongs in a museum.
It belongs in my hands, photographing an old Taco Bell building or something stupid.
So let's touch on that real quick. The things that you love to photograph. It is things that are falling apart.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
In a roundabout way, you've done a lot of landscapes too. But what is the thing that you love photographing the most?
I would say it's buildings and scenes in an urban setting that are soon to be on the chopping block. So I've said this before, but abandoned buildings are the kind of gateway drug for every photographer. Like, every photographer goes through a phase of photographing abandoned buildings, and some never get out of it. I still shoot a lot of abandoned buildings. I don't know. I can't help it. I just see them and I need to shoot them.
Yeah.
But what I've kind of gravitated more towards once I got that a little bit out of my system is buildings that would probably be abandoned in 15 years. But that doesn't really happen in Orange County. The real estate's too valuable. So it would get bulldozed and there would be some, high density, quote unquote luxury apartment living put in its place.
Yeah.
But it's those buildings that they're in that no man's land where they're not old enough to be historical. So no one values them yet. But they're too old to be considered new and to be remodeled and to, all that kind of stuff. It's in that gray area where just no one appreciates it yet. But if we wait around long enough, if we hold on to it, it'll probably move into that territory. Like my house is actually a pretty good example of that, because my house was built in 1924 and it's now historically protected. So there's actually certain things I can't do to it. I have to meet certain standards to keep it up and all that kind of stuff. But in the course of doing house projects, you can spot exactly the era when this was just an old shitty house. It hadn't gotten that historical charm yet. And it was like the 70s and 80s. It was just an old dumpy house. And so they did stupid things like put carpet over the hardwood floor and, cut all the baseboards short. And you can spot they did that in the early 80s, because that's when these houses weren't anything cool yet.
Yep.
So it's oftentimes those types of buildings that I end up gravitating towards, where I feel like nobody is really appreciating it yet. At least society at large isn't really appreciating it yet. But there's some charm to it. Like, they don't make buildings like that anymore, or it's got mid-century architecture, or it once contained a business that was historically significant for, Southern California or something like that. So like I mentioned, Taco Bell. Anyone who follows my channel knows that I was working on a project called previously Taco Bell, where I was photographing buildings that used to be Taco Bells, because they're very recognizable buildings. They got the 3 archways in the front, made out of brick, and oftentimes they become different Mexican restaurants, but sometimes they're like a Thai food place, or something interesting that, like, it's weird seeing that in a Taco Bell building. And I love photographing those. And
here in Massachusetts, replace Taco Bell with Pizza Hut and you'll get the same concept.
Exactly. So exactly right. It's got a very specific roof.
Yep.
You can spot that that was a Pizza Hut at some point. You're not fooling me now that you're an attorney. But
It's so true. That or real estate.
yeah, it's always one of those. Yeah, you see a lot of them are like dispensaries now.
Yep.
I've been sent a lot from like Oklahoma where it's like, oh, it's a dispensary now. Okay. So this previously Taco Bell project that I was working on, I kind of abandoned because, well,
much like the Taco Bell.
Yeah, much like the Taco Bells I was photographing. I became a previously Taco Bell photographer. But I kind of abandoned the project because I found it was pretty boring photographing the exact same building because there's only so many angles on it.
Right.
So I was getting kind of bored of it, and I just kind of abandoned it. And then as I was driving around Orange County, going to jobs and whatever else, it kind of struck me one day to turn it into previously fill in the blank. So there's previously Tasty Freezes, previously Wiener Schnitzel's. There's a previously IHOP near me that I photographed just a few weeks ago. So I'm now, my spark has come back for this project because I am expanding it to previously anything that had an iconic building, and it is no longer that. So like
we don't have that anymore.
Oh, where the buildings all look the same?
Everything is so uniform now. It's almost like we're living in like communist blocks.
Yeah.
And my people are Polish. We ran away from that.
You don't want to be reminded of that when you drive by another apartment building that looks like every other apartment building.
But like when we were, I'm assuming that you're close to my age. I mean, back in the day, we had Howard Johnson's. They had an iconic shape. I mean, Pizza Hut. What other places had?
Yeah,
like,
there's lots of them. IHOP's had a
IHOP's.
specific building. Denny's did.
Yep.
The Tasty Freeze and
We didn't have those around here.
Yeah, I think that might have been a Southern California original. I'm not sure, but Wiener Schnitzel and Tasty Freeze eventually became the same company, so they're actually
Dairy Queen. That would be
yeah,
ours.
Dairy Queen. Yeah, they probably have a specific looking building. I'm sure there's all sorts of regional ones that I'm sure are really interesting. You know, you go to the South and it's like, oh, that was a this, whatever it was. Like even now, Waffle Houses often look the same, but I know what you're saying. Like,
but a Waffle House will never go out of business either.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Yeah, no one's ever taken over their spot because they're going to be there forever. But yeah, like now, Taco Bell's and Del Tacos and McDonald's and everything, they're all the same box design. And it's, speaking of the movies we were talking about earlier with Edgar Wright, like it's been Starbucksed, like that's in the movie at World's End, or I forget the name of the movie, but they go into the pubs in their old hometown and they've all been done up to look identical and modern and everything, and they say it's been Starbucksed. I think it was in that movie.
Yep.
But that's kind of what's happened to so many businesses now, is I'm sure they figured out like maximum efficiency and easiest way to build a building quickly and to get customers in and out quickly. So there's like no flair to the architecture at all anymore. Like you look at the old Wiener Schnitzels and Tasty Freezes, they had this obnoxiously steep roof of unusable attic space.
Yes.
And it's like, it was just so that they had a recognizable building. And like, you know, they kept the theme going. And even the old Taco Bells, like they were kind of, I think the reason they abandoned them is they were very impractical for having a dining room. It was a very small space, and like the line would block the seating, you know, whatever they came up with, where this is not efficient. We're a big corporation now. We need to redesign our buildings. But I love those old buildings because, you know, eventually Denny's moved out, or Tasty Freeze moved out, or whatever. And I love that it didn't just get bulldozed. A lot of them did, but I love that one didn't. And another business came in and said, yeah, we're a Mexican restaurant, but I don't mind a ridiculously steep roof. Like, I don't mind all that useless attic space. It's a building, and we're trying to open a business. So I gravitate towards those a lot, and my head's always on a swivel looking for those when I'm driving around Southern California or whatever, trying to find a new building where it's like, that was a Pizza Hut. or that was a this, or that was a that. Those are a lot of fun to shoot. But yeah, it's a lot of scenes and buildings that I think are in danger of going away because they're going to get replaced with some Starbucks, McDonald's that is, looks like every other fast food joint on that road.
Yep.
Or it's going to be replaced by some high density, quote unquote, luxury living of overpriced apartments. I just want to shoot it before it goes away.
Yeah. Awesome. You're doing God's work.
I don't know about that. Maybe selfish work. I don't know.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, why not? What do we got? Yeah, we don't need to be out doing the Lord's work every day.
Somebody has to remember him. Otherwise, it's going to be lost to the digital ages. And I mean, it's weird. But, look at McDonald's itself. Remember when they used to have customer service in there? It's
they used to have employees.
When you got to the front desk and somebody greeted you, it's one of those things where it's like, oh my God, am I being just old, or have we really lost something where it's just? I mean, I kind of blame COVID for that one.
Yeah, I think that was a big nail in the coffin for it. But yeah, I know I don't go into McDonald's much these days, but it's kind of weird just walking up to a screen and telling you what you want. It's odd, but it's the things I try and photograph. I mean, it's I try not to dissect too much why I get an urge to photograph something, but when I do sit down and think about it, it does tend to be that, like, those. Maybe it's just like you said, it's just being an old guy or something, but like just that kind of nostalgia of, it's not there anymore, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a remnant of that. It's a little reminder of it, so I better get it before it goes away. And then, I keep running into it where things I've photographed get bulldozed like 2 weeks later or something. Like I keep catching these things at their last moment, and then I feel really good that I photographed it.
Yeah.
Because it really sinks in real as like, that's not coming back. Maybe it's trite. It's like, it's just a photograph, or it's just a McDonald's sign that you photographed and now it's gone, and oh, boo-hoo, whatever. What does that really matter? But I think with time, we look back on photos and they play an important role in us kind of reflecting on, how things have changed. So
yep.
If I do it through buildings, maybe it'll serve some purpose in the future. But now I'm trying to photograph whatever strikes my fancy when I drive past it.
Right on. Well, we could keep going on and on. I would love to hear more. I think we could save that for another part. But why don't you tell the world where they can find you on the web?
YouTube's the easiest. That's where most people find me. You go to YouTube, type in Nick Carver, C-A-R-V like Victor, E-R. Not Nick Carter. That's the actual boy. So don't confuse the two. But yeah, YouTube. If you go there, you'll eventually get directed to my website and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. Do you have any upcoming projects that you want to shout out, or?
Yeah, actually. So I'm currently building an online course all about printing and color management. So all that kind of confusing stuff on ICC profiles and paper selection and inkjet printing and RGB versus CMYK, all that stuff. I'm building a course about it. So I'm hoping to have that out this fall, maybe winter. Christmas is my drop dead date.
Right on.
I hope I don't have to drop dead, because it's very possible it'll take longer than that. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. So if people want to be made aware of that when it happens, just follow my YouTube channel. I'll be shouting it from the rooftops when it's finally ready to sign up for. So
very awesome.
Yeah.
Nick, it was awesome having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. And next time, I definitely want to pick your brain about other places that you photographed and places that you would like to. I think that would, you always pick such interesting places that's a whole other show in and of itself.
Yeah, love to come back and talk. As you can see, I can keep rambling about all sorts of horseman film backs and photography obscurities anytime you want. So.
And we love you for it.